Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today is another episode of reviewing NHL teams so far, as today we got a very special episode, as today we're reviewing my favorite NHL team and the Edmonton Oilers, which means it is a very special episode at that, because my dad will be joining us later on. You guys can call him Bill. He will be joining us later on to talk some Oilers talk, as he is a avid Oilers fan as well. So I'm super excited about today's episode. It's just going to be a lot of fun, lots of hockey. It should be a lot of fun. So before we get into today's video, if you are new to the channel, make sure to slap that subscribe button, as we are an ever-growing community right now, as we are at 300 subscribers, which is just absolutely crazy. I never expected that I would get to this place this quickly. So I'd like to just say thank you guys so much for that, and also hit that like button as well. Lets me guys know that you guys are enjoying the series, which you guys have been. So we are just gonna continue pumping this series along, as we're finally at the Edmonton Oilers, as this team took a dive this season. It has improved a lot. Not really a dive, it has improved a lot. We have done a lot. We only had about $8 million going into this year's free agency, which is not a lot, plus with the money with the LTIR with Club Bomb, so about $12 million. I think, yeah, around $12 million we had in about salary cap with Oscar Klefbom. So we definitely did not have a lot of money coming into this year's free agency, and especially having to fill in the holes like we had to, where we had to fill in the third line. We still had to find some top six help, and we still had to do a ton of things to fill in the lineup. So let's just kind of take a deep dive into this. First up, the draft day for Kenny, I think was great. Dylan Holloway, I know a lot of people were like upset at it first, but the way that he plays there in what was it, Boston? Is it the Boston? No, Wisconsin. He plays great. He has a great shot. He's a killer player. He's physical. He does a lot of the things that the Oilers need for the future of this team, and I'm really excited to see how well Dylan Holloway turns out to be, especially hearing from Off the Wall Hockey how excited he is about Dylan Holloway and Perlo. I think Dylan Holloway will excel on the Edmonton Oilers, especially for the future of this team when we're actually making strides in the playoffs. Dylan Holloway will just be a perfect player for that. Savoy, another small little guy, and same with Tyler Toulouse. Carter Savoy has a great shot, skates really well. Tyler Toulouse, he's a pest. He reminds me a lot of a Brendan Gallagher, who was drafted in the 5th round, same as Tyler Toulouse. And I'm really hoping that Tyler Toulouse does the exact same thing. He's done great there in Oshawa. He had a great year this year, and I'm hoping he continues to perform there in Oshawa, and I'm hoping he does great. The scouts are saying that he might have a down year, which I could see that. He is going to be, I mean, he could even do better. He is going to be an overager here soon. I don't know when that will happen, but I think Tyler Toulouse is a great player, and I'm really excited to see how well he'll develop in the Oilers system. But we're going to jump right into free agency. This is where all the big stuff happened, all right? We had a lot happen on free agency. Even before that, we got Jesse Puljujarvi, who had a 2-year contract at $1.175 million, which I was surprised by this deal. I really was. Jesse Puljujarvi, to me, I thought was going to be gone for a lot longer. I didn't know if he was really going to sign for the team. If you guys take a look at my Jesse Puljujarvi Sega videos, I didn't really think that Puljujarvi was going to join. I made fun of this kid, and now he's back, and he's looking better than ever. He's matured a lot more. He's had some great years down there in Karpat. He's really been producing, and I'm really excited to see how well Puljujarvi will do when he's matured, when he's looking a lot better. And I think Puljujarvi, he's gained a lot more strength. I'm really excited to see how well Puljujarvi will play in our system and how well he will do on the Edmonton Oilers, especially for the contract that we gave him for a 2-year deal, where now we don't have to worry about giving him money next year, when we can just worry about giving him 2 years down the road. And especially since he's still in RFA, it's absolutely perfect. Otherwise, I cannot find the page. Otherwise, we got Forsberg, Griffith, Quine. We talked about that in Perlo's show, where we talked about the depth signings and how exciting these guys do look for the future of the Edmonton Oilers, and just the depth overall, right? It's going to help the AHL squad out, which we really did need that help in our AHL squad. So I really do like these signings. Anton Forsberg will be a great depth goalie for the team. Seth Griffith will just be a great depth goal scorer. Quine, he's been great in the AHL, might even be able to play up in the NHL. Tyler Ennis and Kyle Turris, they end the day off. Ennis, he's a great depth guy. We have seen him perform before. He played great in Buffalo. He's had some down years since then with injuries. He's just had some really bad luck, but I think he could really have a resurgence in his career playing for the Edmonton Oilers. He's still a decently young guy. He's 31 years old. I'm really excited to see how well Tyler Ennis will do, especially only making $1 million. Barely anything. He could play up and down the lineup. He could play anywhere, so I'm really excited about that. Kyle Turris, he signed for another 2 years at $1.65 million. That was just a fantastic deal. Helps with us 5-on-5 wise. Not too shabby defensively. He said he's going to improve upon it, and I really do believe that. There's a lot of players on the team that are looking to improve their defense, like a McDavid, like a Draisaitl. So I thought that was a huge, massive signing. Mike Smith is where we kind of backtracked, I felt. But really, who else could we have really gone after? There was no big goalie names that was available. He did have a really bad season with the Edmonton Oilers, a .902, a .295, and he's been going down ever since then. So I don't know what we're really going to do. Mike Smith is just going to continue the decline. I think this will probably most likely one of his worst seasons ever in his career. Most likely might be even his last one, as he is already 38 years old. But there was really no goalies to go after, and that was the sad part. I wish we could have went after somebody else. We missed out on the big market with Jacob Markstrom, and I'm glad we did. Jacob Markstrom, I don't know if he would have been the guy that we would have really wanted on the team for long term. He might have only been that 1 year wonder. We've seen that a lot with goalies, so I'm glad we kind of just kept with Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith, because I am going to believe in Koskinen to be our number one guy. I really do. Mikko Koskinen's been a great goalie. You guys can see it by here. Mikko Koskinen had a great year. A .917 at .275. Yeah, sure, he did struggle, but even with those numbers that you see here, he still did really solid against the Chicago Blackhawks. Facing the amount of shots he did and the amount of games he did was just absolutely amazing. I give Koskinen tips. Then the biggest signing of them all, Tyson Berry, to a 1 year, $3.75 million deal. We got Tyson Barry for it, and I was just absolutely astounded by this deal. I was amazed. I was happy. I was feeling a mix of emotions. I read Twitter saying that there was rumors that he was offered $6 million. Tyson Barry, sure, he's not your run-of-the-end defensive defenseman. No, he's your offensive defenseman who's going to put up massive points. He's going to be a massive contributor for your team. And he was a massive guy for the Colorado Avalanche until he got dumped off to Toronto and struggled. And then the Toronto media is like, oh, he's terrible defensively. Of course he is. He's not meant to be a defensive guy. He's meant to be that offensive guy that's leading your power play, and he wasn't that in Toronto. You already had a Morgan Rielly down there, and I think Tyson Berry will just fit perfectly into our offensive core. Then we got Chris Russell. That was mostly for the expansion drafts, just so we have another contract guy on the team. And then Dominic Cahoon, 1 year. That was this guy, Dominic Cahoon. I am super excited about. Know why? Where was that one lead? There it is. 206 points in 30 games. Leon Draisaitl did about the same, and then you add in the playoffs, there was almost about 600 points they had in just one season down there in Germany. That is crazy, and I'm really, really excited to see how well Dominic Cahoon and Leon Draisaitl will play alongside of each other. And then we added Liljegren and Philip Kemp. Just some nice, I mean, I love Liljegren, the way that he played last year. Now, the core of the Edmonton Oilers, we still have some big questions. Of course, Ethan Bear signing with the team. Oscar Klefbom being injured. How well would the defensive core do without him? I think it'll just be fine. Oscar Klefbom has been in a steady decline anyways with his age and just with overall injuries really taking a part of him. I think it might end his career here soon with the amount of injuries he's been having over his career. Sooner or later, just he'll have enough. And it's sad to say that, but I love Klefbom, but sooner or later, time's going to be up for Klefbom. But I'm really, really excited about this defense core. Caleb Jones is an ever-rising defenseman. Larson's still a great shutdown defender for the team. Ethan Bear, Darnell Nurse. I know a lot of people don't really like Darnell Nurse, but I still truly believe he's going to be a great defenseman for the Edmonton Oilers. You got to remember, he's still 25 years old. You got to remember that, ladies and gents. young defensemen really don't excel until they're a little later older, right? I mean, you take a look at Jeff Petrie, right? For example, people will be like, oh my God, like, trade away Darnell Nurse. But Jeff Petrie was the same way. He did not perform. He went off to Montreal, and look at the defenseman he's turned into now. He's taken a couple years to get to this position where he's at, where he's making a decent amount of money. But he's taking his time, and it's called development, ladies and gents. And I think Darnell Nurse will take that steady increase as well. Defensemen it's a long long project for defensemen, and I think Darnell Nurse, he's a great defenseman. The $5.6 million sure is a little steep, but I love Darnell Nurse. He's a great defenseman. I think he'll keep developing into a really good defenseman. But anyways, we're not going to be talking about Nurse. What's the grade for this year's offseason? I think I'm going to go with an A- with this team. They had a really good offseason. The only bad signing was Mike Smith. I would have given this team an easy A. If they didn't sign Smith, they would have went with somebody else. But I'm going to go with an A- just because of Tyson Barry. That was a steal. Dominic Cahoon, great signing there. I think this team did a great job this offseason. I'm really excited to see how well they will do going into this season whenever it does start, especially when it's a Canadian division. I'm really excited to see how well they'll do it against Toronto and Calgary, Vancouver, stuff like that. I'm really excited to see how everything will go. But for right now, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all. Actually, why am I ending the video here? What am I doing? We got an interview with my dad, so let's jump right into that. Hello, everyone, and welcome back as we got a very special episode as I got my dad. You guys could probably call him Bill. He's a avid Oilers fan who got me into hockey as a diehard hockey fan. Hey, Dad, and welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, bud. You?
I'm doing pretty good. Now, he doesn't have a video. We weren't able to get that set up. We had some technical difficulties with
We'll
the
call it
crappy
technical difficulties.
with the crappy laptop at home. But we're going to get right into the Oilers talk because that's what I brought you on here to do today. We're going to start things off with the 2020 draft. And a lot of people were upset with the Dylan Holloway pick because of the fact that we weren't able to get Seth Jarvis or Askarov or one of the big draft names out there, the big prospects. But what do you think of Ken Holland's draft day of just selecting old forwards and kind of getting that forward pipeline going? What do you think of how Holland drafted this year?
I like it. I say that in the NHL, I don't think we draft the teams draft enough players for the holes that they need to fill. Many years were we taken because of the number because we pick so high or so high up there. So I like when they go outside of that because I think your scouts and stuff see different than other scouts and what you need to fill in your lineup. So I like that they went outside of the normal.
And we've seen that from last year with going out, picking up Lavoie and Blimmel and practically going old forwards last year, but for Broberg and Kunavolov, who Kunavolv's looking like a beast now for the Edmonton Oilers in the KHL right now. But we'll jump ahead to the free agency day because I'm pretty sure this was an exciting day for the both of us, seeing so many great free agency signings with the Edmonton Oilers. But we'll start off with the big one, and that was Jesse Puljujarvi. This was before draft day. And me and you were really big believers at first. Like when we drafted Jesse Puljujarvi, I was really excited for him to be on the team. And then after everything happened, did you ever believe Jesse Puljujarvi would come back to the Oilers and sign that nice of a contract that he signed to play on the Oilers?
I think Jesse had no choice but to build up his relationship back with with the Oilers and Holland. Holland's very good at that anyway with European hockey players, and so I think for Puljujarvi, he needs to do this. He needed if he wants to come back to the NHL. He needs to come back in a positive way, make his name positive again because he's a hell of a player. He's got a lot of skill, a lot of size that he can use. Did I always think? I thought maybe we flopped again, like with Yakupov. I also had questions when we first made the pick with him because of Columbus passing him over him. What's his name?
Yeah, Kakalainen. Yeah.
Kakalainen. So when he passed over him and being from Finland, I had questioned it myself then if they went outside, but a lot like Holland did, in like we were talking earlier uh, um, of the draft, where you were kind of drafting out a line there where you're not going with what the other scouts are seeing. Um, so yeah, there was question with Puljujärvi. I think he's matured now, so I actually think he can start moving forward on the NHL ice. So we'll see.
And we'll get to free agency day where it was pretty busy for Ken Holland. We got Forsberg, we got Griffith, we got Quine. Me and Perlo talked a lot about Quine, and a great performer in the AHL. Same with Forsberg. So Holland building up that depth for the upcoming year, which we definitely need. But the two biggest pieces, especially on that day, were Tyler Ennis and Kyle Turris. Kyle Turris, great third line centerman. I'm really excited. I was glad when he got bought out because I knew we'd probably get him for real cheap. But what was your reaction when Turris and Ennis signed to the team on free agency day?
I've always liked Dennis, so I wasn't really shocked that he come back. Um, we need some help on the wing. I think he's a good player. He's been around the league, um, and I think he could play well with center like Turris, and he can go up and down your lineup in his Ken. So
Hmm.
and Turris being a second line center, I think wasn't he for most of his career, playing more up. Now he's not a hugely defensive center, but he can win face-offs, and his
And
the point production could be good for us again, putting him with the right guys. And if they go by what the rumors are saying, maybe an Ennis, Turris, and Puljujärvi on the same line, I'm interested in that. I'll tell you that.
and the thing is, Tarsus is a right hand too, which we do need those crop of right handed players. For years, we were
Yeah,
just stuck with a bunch of left handed players. We didn't have too many right handers.
it
Like this
doesn't give us
past
that
season,
option.
yeah, this past season we only really had Cassian and Chason. That's all we really had for right-handed guys. Now we have Turris. Now we have Puljujärvi, Archibald. I mean, he was still with us last year as well. So we have a whole big crop of right wingers that are coming up the squad, which I'm really happy about because for years on end we were struggling for wingers. Which will jump to this big signing that happened not that long ago, which was Dominic Cahoon. Rumors came out that Leon Draisaitl was mad that Dominic Cahoon did not sign with the Oilers, that Kenny kind of let go of Cahoon because Cahoon was wanting a lot of money at the time when free agency first started. We waited, and now we got him to a very, very nice deal. And Leon Draisaitl's best friend, who they put up 200 points with each other, combined almost or I think they actually put up almost 300 points, combined almost 600
And it was
points, especially
ridiculous. It
with the
wasn't a lot of
playoffs. No, it
It
wasn't,
wasn't
and they dominated the German league. So, what was your reaction when Cahoon signed to the team? Because this guy looks absolute fantastic for the Oilers so far.
I love the contract. He got him for steel. Um, they've been talking. What is it? 2 years now that because I think it was 2 years ago he was going to come over when he first came over from Europe. They tried.
I think
So
so.
um, I like his potential, and if you look at his numbers at 5-on-5, I think he can definitely strengthen that part of our game. If he gels with Draisaitl, great. I think he has the potential to be able to probably play and handle the speed with McDavid as well on the
Hmm.
top line. I just like it that I think there's a lot of moving pieces there that you can move around and not just have to stick with one line. Like we seen last year, we had too many times that we have to keep that same line going and you couldn't move some pieces around. I think we definitely have the pieces we can move and to get people going in their game. Maybe they're a little stuck, so you can switch things up. And I think we right down the lineup now. I think we've got a, a full four lines. You look like I mean, where do we even play Neil now? We play Neil on the fourth line, right? Like you've
Yeah.
got full lines, and you got a guy like Neil that's still playing on the fourth, or could
Hmm.
potentially play on the fourth. I think we've moved in the right direction. I don't know how many years we've actually taken some of the goods and then totally because we think we need the back end, so we get defensemen, uh, and then we leave our forwards out. I think Holland addressed both areas of that. in that respect, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we were talking about the 5-on-5, and you're just talking about the improvements on defense, which is a huge improvement because of the fact that we got Tyson Berry on one of the nicest contracts out of the entire free agency day. You want to talk about a steal? This was a steal. Tyson Berry was being offered $6 million by teams to go and play with other teams, but he decided to come to Edmonton, which has been the first time since God knows when, since we actually had a team friendly contract be signed to the team. And even for me, like, I've never seen that happen with the Oilers ever. We've been seeing this team have horrible contracts after horrible contracts. I mean, Andrew Ference almost had the exact same contract that Tyson Berry, man. And that's a kind of a joke to talk about. But Tyson Berry brings such
And
a
they
great
also
five on five game.
they also
So
gave Ferris a C at that time, so
yeah.
we won't go too far on that one. But
Um. Well, what
that's
was your
almost as bad as
reaction?
giving Luongo the C.
What was your reaction to with Tyson Berry being given captain or not captaincy, being signed to the Edmonton Oilers?
In the end, it really didn't surprise me with the way Holland's been able to go out this year, and now with COVID and the cap and everything not moving, it definitely made it harder for a lot of GMs to do business. But I love how Holland did it. I know I keep going back to Holland, but it didn't surprise me when we got a Barry, and he's very good at talking to these players if they want to build their contract back.
All right, guys, we're back after a little bit of internet problems by my end. It seems like I don't know what's going on with my internet, but we were just about to jump into the Tyson Berry contract and how nice it was. So if you'd like to continue on the how you think about the Tyson Berry signing, yeah, go ahead.
I love Tyson Berry. I actually I liked him in Colorado. Watched him quite a bit there, and then I didn't like the jump to Toronto. I think it's hard for a player sometimes like Berry to go from
It
uh,
wasn't a fit there,
this.
anyways. It
No, and
didn't
it
fit
wasn't,
there.
and I don't think it ever was a fit. And the style of hockey that they play in Colorado is not the style they're playing in Toronto. So I didn't like that to begin with, and on a contract year for Barry. But let's go to the Oilers getting him, and I love what he signed for. I like that he sees that he can up his stock there, and that shows me that he's a player that still he's not old. He's still got a lot of life left. Probably fit very well with we need our need of an offensive defenseman that can help on power plays and stuff like that. He's uh, not as defensively as some like, but that's what happens. You get an offensive defenseman, he's going to make those mistakes. But if you partner him up with the right guy, which I think we have enough guys coming up that are that defensive style that I think we could team him up with, and he could definitely strengthen for his. Now the only bad thing with that is come he's on going to get a contract. He ain't going to be cheap next time. So chances are the Oilers have 1 year with him. We'll enjoy it, I guess.
But I think Bouchard will jump right into Tyson Berry's spot anyways next year. Bouchard's almost what, 22, 23. He's going to be jumping into that spot sooner. I don't think he's that old. You got to be
No, I think
that
he's only
younger.
21, 22.
Yeah, he's where's his thing? Bouchard, yeah, 21. Oh yeah, 21, 22.
21.
So yeah,
Yeah.
he'll be ready to jump in next year and almost be ready to go, which jumps into another thing. Do you think this team is too offense? We've seen right after the Oilers got eliminated by the Chicago Blackhawks, McDavid, Draisaitl all said they need to play better defensively and they need to step up that game. Do you think the Oilers will take a massive jump playing defense next year? And with all these offensive capabilities, I guess tons of people in the media don't think the Oilers will play very well defensively. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are is they have actually had to address the 5-on-5 hockey. I actually think you giving them more weapons. McDavid is actually a very good defensive player. So is Draisaitl. They've talked about how when they were younger, how good they were on the other defensive side of the puck. They score goals, but they are aware. But when you give those two their job is to score goals.
Mm-hmm.
So they might lack because they're cheating, right? They're taking those chances to get the points. I think now that you've leveled out the lines a little bit better, I don't think they won't have to cheat so much. They'll be able to play the hockey the way that they always were able to. Like Draisaitl said, he did not like the way he played defensively this year.
And that's a big thing too, because when McDavid and Draisaitl play together, analytically, they don't play well defensively together. When they're apart, they play 10 times better defensively when they're actually not playing together. So having these two lines where now you have guys that could go up and down the lineup, like a Nuge, like a Cahoon, like a Yamamoto, like a Neil, like a Cassian, you have all these guys that can fit alongside a Draisaitl or McDavid to make sure that those two guys continue to produce and play defense. So we'll jump to the last question. And what's your final thoughts? And what's your grade for the Edmonton Oilers offseason? And also, what are you so excited for this upcoming season when it all does start?
Um, let's go off at the grade, I guess, and then we can discuss why I put it at that. But I'd say I'd say a B plus because I like what we have in the organization, and you don't know till training camp comes if a player steps up and fills a hole.
Mm-hmm.
That now we got dealt some shitty cards with the injury to Clefbaum. That we'll deal with that, but I think there's enough there to deal with that. Um, so I give them a B plus. The only reason I wouldn't give them an A on it is because I don't actually like what they did for a backup with Smith. Smith's old. I don't like the favoritism by the coach. Tibbet gives them too much. I think we should rely on Koskinen a bit and let Smith be that backup, a true backup, not splitting shifts. Um, so we'll have to see there. I I think Holland did a great job with what the money we had, and we still have to come under the cap a little bit so we can sign a guy like Bear. But we got these defensemen too that are coming up. Everybody forgets Bear just showed his face last year how good he can get. So
Mm-hmm.
he's still young. You got Caleb Jones. He's coming up. I think there's
And he looks
tons.
great. Caleb Jones looks
Legason.
fantastic. Oh, Will
So
Legson. Mm.
we got and like you want to talk to Fords like not having to put so much on Neil might make him better on the bottom six.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we got enough to move around the top six, and I actually I'll say this again because with Puljujärvi, they never gave him the top players to play with anyway. They did. He had what a cup of tea at the top line,
He had
right?
UC
Didn't have
Jokinen
much.
and like Ryan Strome to play with, and Ryan Strome was mostly struggling, and then UC Jokinen, we all know how that went when he played for the Oilers. So Puljujärvi really didn't have anyone to play with, and when he did play up on the top line, he didn't play for very long, and it was like when he was just emerging into the league as like a young, like we started playing him like right out of the draft, which was the worst idea we could do with Puljujärvi because he was nowhere near ready.
No,
Um, but yeah,
they
any
thought he was because he was in the same class as Matthews and
yeah,
Lonnie. Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So thank you for being on the show. Very much appreciated giving me your Oilers thoughts. It helps me out a lot with these great shows as we've been having tons of people join them. So thank you very very much, Dad, for being on here. Any final thoughts on the Edmonton Oilers? What you're excited about?
Uh, Everything. I just miss hockey. I'd like to get back to it again. So the World Juniors is coming up. I'll put a shout out for that. So that'll take some of the anxiety off not having hockey, I guess to say. But yeah,
Yeah.
look forward to it.
I feel like all I've been doing is watching hockey highlights on YouTube lately. I've been extremely missing hockey, but I feel you on that. So thank you very much for guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Adios, amigos.